shift to end right now, so I can love you again.
Here we are, people. Another episode of If It Be Your Will podcast coming at you. Trying to connect with artists across the world to talk about their musical journey. And today, what a treat. I have Neil Osborne from 5440, a great Canadian band that's been around for quite some time. And we're on the eve of their latest release called Porto, coming out in this month of January 2026. And I just, again, I'm a super big fan of Neil. I've been following 5440 since the first record came out. So if I nerd out a bit, people, sorry, I will contain myself. Neil, it's just such a pleasure. These are like kind of bucket moments for myself, having artists that I can talk to in real time, of music that I've been listening to that's just been a part of me. So thank you for that, and my development as a person just through listening to what you put out there.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you saying that.
Well, it's a real honor. Neil, I guess I typically start these off kind of like going back in time and those early Vancouver years of when 5440 was first starting to get its legs under it. Can you paint us a picture of that time of when you were just starting up and songs were starting to get written and you were performing, and what was the feel of those early songs, records, and the audience members' reaction to what you guys were doing when you first started in those Vancouver clubs all those years ago?
Right. So looking back, I can only do that. I can't go there.
Right. But
as I recall, I mean, Brad and I started this band out of high school, and we were not part of the Vancouver scene, but we were fans of the Vancouver scene, which started pretty much as a punk rock scene. But it was also, we called it in those days, to be quite honest, more of an underground scene. And it truly was. There was, the Oddfellows Hall, or basically little speakeasies, or where people would rent a warehouse, maybe graphic artists or painters, and then they'd have a gig to raise a few bucks, sell a beer for $1 and try to pay their rent, that kind of thing. Or art school. And so there was other weird bands, like avant-garde type bands, that, because there wasn't a million bands, there was a few punk rock bands. DOA was the flag bearer. And then there was new wave bands like Pointed Sticks and a few others. And then just anybody could sort of fit in if you were part of that. Underground, which later became a word called alternative, I guess, scene. Right. For us, it was just, the energy was amazing and so intense because, jumping on stage in a nightclub and you're 19 or 20 and you were part of a scene at that point. It just felt so electric and so alive. And, one of the first gigs we did, I guess I don't know if it's inside the first 10 or something like that. We played a place called Gary Taylor's Rock Room, which was a strip club, except for Monday nights they had new wave bands, what they called new wave bands. And we did a gig there, and we were so excited and nervous that we did a cover like emulating the Jams. What the hell is that? An R&B song. I can't remember it. Weird. Anyway, can play it. Anyways, it sped up and sped up and sped up and sped up that we just crashed. We were 3-piece, and there was one guy leaning against, the wall behind us or in front of us, and he just smiled and started clapping, and that ended up being Alan Moy, our manager. Who's still our manager.
Wow. So
he saw something there. There was just this incredible feeling and energy, and it was just, everything was exciting and electric and almost, in my case, too hard to handle, like just too much energy.
Yeah.
And so I think that somehow translated on stage. When we went on stage, we were so in the moment, barely able to control what was going on, which is kind of one of the great definitions of rock and roll, is like almost out of control, right? And I guess people kind of liked that because we kept getting asked to open for other bands. And then all of a sudden we could do our own shows and something worked, you know. And then I think the songwriting evolved and came kind of later than just performing ideas, musical ideas, which, you know, some of our older fans or people that have given up on us, that liked us in the early days, liked the more experimental, just feeling around where potential goes and putting it out there. And then we learned our craft you know, on the fly, really.
Interesting. Yeah, because it those early recordings that are out there, it does have this kind of post-punky feel to what you guys are doing, that kind of on the edge all the time, you know, of frenetic, which was amazing. And then the evolution of, you know, how did that songwriting, and you just kind of mentioned it a bit, how did that start to change a little bit or shift in your approach to writing songs from more of just, wow, we're playing in front of people, to, you know, when people are starting to recognize you more? I imagine you put more attention into how your songs were crafted.
Well, I mean, if you're implying that to cater to an audience, I don't think that was ever the case necessarily. You know, we just figured out stuff a little better. You know, there's a great quote from, I think he's the bass player, the guitar player from New Order, when they were in Joy Division. And they always thought they were writing pop songs. They just didn't know how. And it came out what those came out, which people love, obviously. And that's kind of what we thought. And then all of a sudden we kind of were writing, you know, we wanted to write, you know, good, catchy rock songs. And, you know, and the more we wrote, we just sort of followed, you know, our ears, I guess, or what our taste. And things kind of evolved. You know, I can't say it more than that. I mean, for us, from our perspective, especially Brad and I, you know, it's quite a natural evolution. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say that that we've improved, or, you know, it's just those are all representations of our abilities and where we're at the time, just like the new one is.
Great.
There's no right or wrong or rhyme or reason, really. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Kind of like spots in time along your experiences, and they evolve into an LP.
Right, with what the tools you have and the perspective that you have and the energy that you have, and
right.
everything that comes into play during it, you manifest something. It's entirely valid. It might not be successful. It might be something that you want to listen to for very long, or it might be something that lasts for a long, long time. You never know.
Exactly. Did you guys know when you were writing when it was a 5440 song that would have legs to it? Or were some like, okay, let's shelve that one? Like, when you were writing songs, would you always be able to pick out, like, yeah, this one will work really good with where we're at right now and what we want to, you know, put on the next record or whatnot?
Yeah. So yes, I had it's funny because Dave Ginn, who joined the band, I don't know, 22 years ago or 23 years ago. I don't even know when he joined. 23 years ago, I guess. You know, he asked me a lot of stories of those days, and continues with him. But I always had a sense of like, okay, this one's going to track. I can tell. And I'd be about half right. And he said, if you were an A&R guy, you'd be a billionaire, because guess, you know, singles about half the ones that be right and successful. So it's not easy. It's just that, once again, the sort of energy behind it, and there's a catchiness to it. When we were writing it, you just go with it. And then when we take songs in those days, and including with this new record, Porto, we took them on the road. So we got good feedback. So for instance, like a song like Sheila, it was on the road a lot. And we could tell it was coming back very well. And we already knew it had a good vibe to it. So when we went and recorded it, we just kind of performed what we were doing live, and it tracked well again. So I don't know. It's, there's an intuition about it. Once again, if it's catchy to me, then that's one.
Right.
And hopefully there's another. And then if it's catchy to two people, then maybe they can be catchy to four, and they tell two friends and they tell two friends.
Right. And then it's not just your friends showing up at the shows anymore. You have people that actually, like it evolves pretty quickly. And like a song like I Go Blind, right? Like when you were creating that, did you get a sense that song was going to become this anthem that would be timeless? Like, I'm sure that song is on many people's top 100 songs all time, just because of what it does to us emotionally and human wise.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
are those kinds of songs, like, what was the surprise of that? Like, what's going on here with this song? Like, what, how did the band take that, that people grabbed onto that song and just went with it, like ran with it? And I mean, I'm sure when you're performing that live, you don't hear the band anymore. You just hear everyone singing it because everyone knows that song.
Exactly. Yeah, we get that actually with a lot of songs.
Yeah.
I remember we were singing Lies to Me, What was wrong with me? I'm not supposed to be. And then I had a little dry spell in my throat and I couldn't say happy all the time. And the whole crowd sang it. It's like, shit, I don't even need to sing this song. Like, this is awesome. So I Go Blind, once again, I remember I was living with my then girlfriend at the time in a commercial drive in a basement suite apartment, and the futon on the floor, that kind of lifestyle. And she was out or something, and I had the guitar and I was lying on my back and I came up with that riff and then just said, every time I look at you, I go blind. It's like, okay, I'll park that. Couldn't really turn it into anything. And then we were working on this other song, Phil and I primarily, in the morning I get up, dun, dun, dun. It's kind of an easy little wandering folk song. And then he said, as I understand, why don't we put those two together? Because we couldn't sort of figure out an arrangement. And it became this weird arrangement. And it was like, okay, let's just do it. Honestly, I never thought, Chris, that that was going to be one that would work. Well, we just put it in there. It felt kind of good. It didn't seem like a complete song to me, but it was enough of a musical statement that we stuck it in. And I remember when we released the Green record and we played our first headline at the Commodore Ballroom in Vancouver, and we didn't play I Go Blind because we just didn't think it was, I don't know why we didn't play it. And we got a lot of complaints. And it was like, oh. So that was a surprise for me. It was that one where I called. That one was going to turn out. I never thought that. I thought it was just a good little song. Yeah. Like some of the others that we have, like Apollo and Me or something like that. We always have this sort of GC melodic journey that's not too hard to get. But I never call them complete songs. They're just nice little statements, nice little appetizer or something.
Right.
And that one just turned into a hit. So I don't know.
Sometimes I guess you're not even aware sometimes when you kind of catch lightning in a bottle that,
I guess. Yeah.
I don't know, and who knows, like at that time, what was going on and like the world kind of looking for something. But I mean, at the heart of that song, I think that it kind of avoids any kind of resolution. And I started to think about that, how some of your songs just you leave things there for people to kind of think about and feel as humans. And I started to see that coming out in Porto as I was listening to it again, where you present ideas and then there's no kind of resolution to it. It's up to you as the listener to kind of seep your experiences inside that. Exactly. And there's something in particular about Virgil that I wanted to ask you about lyric-wise. And the lyric is, I think this is the chorus, and I just want this shift to end right now so that I can love you again and again and again. What's that shift, Neil, that you're talking about? So
there's a theme that runs through the whole record, and it's very Jungian, Carl Jung inspired. We have the song Running for the Fence, and so, which is hiding behind defenses, right? with default positions when there's too much stress or fear or the things that you, even from childhood, that you're not even aware that you sort of do. And that restricts your ability to sort of be free from inside, or maybe your true self. I don't want to get too trippy here. Virgil, I mean, we can get into how that was inspired by a dream, and Virgil is from Dante's Divine Comedy and all of that. But the line you're referring to is the process that you have to go. You can only sort of love or be as free as soon as you forgive yourself or love yourself, right? And that's the theory, and I do believe it's true. In other words, when you're feeling good, and you can feel good at any moment, maybe after your first cup of coffee, that radiates an energy, right? When you're not feeling good, you start to get tunnel vision. So you have to go through all this stuff. You have to integrate this stuff. Like Carl Jung talks about the shadows, right? Shadow personalities. In other words, things that you repress become shadows, and they affect. Maybe you get cranky, or maybe you don't know why you're having road rage, or all these things. That's a simple way of putting it. Mm-hmm. So you have to go through those shifts. That's like a shift in a coal mine or whatever, right? And you have to do the dirty work. If you don't do the dirty work, you're not going to sort of rise up above to be free to love. And that's really the message of the song. And that's also the message of Dante's Divine Comedy in essence. So I had a dream that sort of I can get into if you like. I had no idea what the dream was telling me. And this name Beatrice kept popping into my head in the dream, and then like you do, you kind of look up what that is, and she was the muse of Dante's Divine Comedy, and she's in heaven, sends Virgil down to help Dante navigate the 9 levels of hell, so she can help bring him back up. In other words, he can surrender to be his true self, and then therefore easy to love and lovable. So. Or he can love too. So that's without getting too crazy. That's the song.
It's amazing. And what was it, that dream that kind of like opened this door to Porto, or like how did this kind of record come to be, in the sense that, okay, I have this nucleus of this idea, and then you started writing songs around that? Or did you go back into the archives and kind of like look at some things that you kind of put aside and start pulling them in? Or are these all like written lately, these songs?
There's a few ideas that were kicking around for years, actually. A couple of them, like Thank You, Mother. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the elements of Work Not Worry. But it's funny you identified Virgil, because that was the way in. That's the door to the whole album. That was the first song I wrote for it.
Right. And it's I love how it crashes, after the verses and then the chorus crashes in, like it's so 5440, and like the best parts of, I just love how that comes in. Like it feels inspired, and like, oh yes, that's the song I've been waiting for them to write. Based on your whole catalog that is out there.
Yeah. Thank
Neil,
you.
can I ask you, how did you? Was your process to writing these songs similar to like past records, or did it come about? So you had that door that opened up. Did your songwriting process maintain the way that it has typically been for writing the rest of the songs that are encompassed in this record?
Not necessarily. So there's two parts to that answer, to this answer, I guess. One is always, I'm the person that I am, or evolved. In other words, what attracts my ears or heart or sense of music that lifts is always the same, but the process was definitely different on this one. So there's a lot I want, like a lot of the rock songs And even the riff in Virgil, actually most of the songs. I got this old 1960 something or other Supro amp with a little 8-inch speaker,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's so garage sounding. It's awesome. It sounds like the Kinks or something. And I just sat here one day in my studio and just started coming up with stuff. Right? They say that about guitars, and I had an old Supro guitar too, and an old Gretsch, and they both sounded amazing through this amp, And I think it was Neil Young or somebody that said that, something about old guitars, they all got music in them. And I find that too. And sometimes they say hello to you and they're friendly to you, and sometimes they're not friendly. Right. New guitars don't even know the guitars yet. They still think they're trees. So it's really tough with a new guitar. So I had this old guitar and this old amp, and then I just went, whoa, something's happening here, And so I started recording them all and then doubling Gretsch and Supro, and then I had these double. So it was like ding, 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 ding. And the whole Virgil thing was actually the first thing the riff that I came out with. And so I parked all that. And then I sort of sketched some melody ideas while swimming around emotionally and vibe-wise where I think this could go. The emotive, something about a music that there's an emotive transcendence. There's a connection that you automatically feel. It doesn't have to be any words or anything like that. In fact, the words, I always have to be careful because they can make that potential smaller, that emotion. You don't want to over-define something. You were alluding to it earlier. I always leave the answers open-ended. Right. Not a lot of conclusions for that very reason, so that you can experience what I think I'm experiencing emotively while you're on that journey listening, to the music. Anyhow, so I've been getting into this Carl Jung thing. I was really into it for the Fight for Love record. And then I decided to readopt it.
Love that record.
To the point where I was getting analysis, which is different from therapy, by the way. You talk with your analyst in terms of shadows and dreams and visions and creativity and well, what is that telling you? That's kind of, not that I need help here. What is the messages that I'm already getting? What is my body already know? These kinds of things. So when it came time to put the words in, it's something I've rarely done, but on every song on this record, I never wrote one down. I kind of had an idea, swimming around in my head, maybe a title, or kind of a concept of what that will be about. And then what I did is I sang about 4 takes of each song over about 3 days. I went through all 11. The only ideas that we ever looked at for this whole record were 11, and they all made the record. Sometimes it's like you have 30 or 25 and 10 make a record. This was like, not every one of these is something. So I went in and I just started singing whatever came out of my mouth, right? With a general idea. Or maybe I had the transcript of that dream in Virgil in front of me, even though none of the words in the dream except the name, not even Virgil, to tell you the truth, because it was all about Beatrice, but the idea, the emotion of it. And I just and I knew what, having looked up what the poem was about, these just started to come out. So without judging or trying not to judge, although if something resonated, I'd sing that same line again in the second take, but new words would just pop out. And I swear to God, this is all true. And then, a couple of days later, I'd listen to it back and go, oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. I'll put that there. That'll be the chorus, and I just physically on the computer moved them around and it fit. I never really had to sort of change kind of anything. I have a natural ability to sort of rhyme anyway, right? Like when we perform live sometimes I'll just start playing a couple chords and start singing whatever comes out of my mouth, just feel like it. And I'd say 8 times out of 10, the first few lines kind of work, and then I lose it. But anyhow, so that I knew I was onto something. And with this whole record, And it's one of those few, we're really in a different way, combined with all our experience, age, and wisdom. It's very much like that early energy we were talking about when we first started. It's like, holy moly, this is magic. How did we tap into this? Just the creation of music and performing. Yeah. It's like, what a thrill. So here we were with this sort of energy or wind at our back. And, when I brought the band in, we were very quick on the arrangements. They turned some of those songs, like even Running for the Fence was more kind of a folk song with a little keyboard. And, Dave right away said, this is a rock song and here we go. And like, yeah. And didn't argue, didn't fight about any of that. Those guys just sort of, we had 3 days here. And I, basically said, we got 90 minutes of song to come up with how it's going to sound. Oh. And, Dave, you're going to play your solo. And then that translated into bringing Warren Livesey into the production. And he really liked the energy and the liveness. And we talked about, things like Jack White or old 5440, where it was pretty much live off the floor. Right. And that's what we did in Portugal. We were all in a circle. I brought that little amp. Yeah. That's the amp that I play. You can hear it on one side of the speaker, the whole record. And then Dave had one there that was a Fender version of the same thing, an old deluxe reverb from the 50s, tiny little thing, the tweed color. Yep. Yep. Very powerful and garagey. And, Warren said to Dave, okay, you're going to play your part. And then when you hit the solo, press this pedal or whatever. We're not overdubbing. There's a few little keyboard textures that are overdubbed, but right. All the main body of the song, it wasn't, the old, like you go through that, we went through that in the 90s and in the early 2000s where it's like every chord's got to be punched in and such a this. And it's like, fuck off, Yeah, yeah. You wonder, like, your record's only 40 minutes. Why did it take you 4 months? Why didn't it take you 40 minutes, Right.
Has that always been the case, Neil, though, like of kind of like not over tinkering, and letting it just be true to itself, or, letting those old guitars speak for themselves and not trying to, overdub or too much tone?
No, it hasn't been always the case. I mean, that's been the foundation for sure, because when we play them live, that's what you get. Right. We don't know really how to play the tracks. A lot of bands do, and whatever. But the thing is, the studio can be a lot of fun, and it can be addictive in terms of creativity, right? It's like, ooh, what does this do? Ooh, what if we bring in strings? Or, ooh, what about this weird synthesizer? That's kind of cool. Like, that's just natural to sort of want to play with stuff and smear your record with it and becomes this weird spaghetti sauce that no one's really going to want to taste because you've got everything in it. And you realize, what, just tomato sauce, maybe a little beef or whatever, It's like, let's just keep it simple.
Yeah, yeah. And is your closing thoughts on this final production of Porto, does it follow those lines where it's, you didn't mess with it too much? It really just kind of is what you intended it to be?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and Warren Livesey did an excellent job of bringing that out and then helping define it even better, I think. And we had a great time, right? So we went to Porto in Portugal. That's why it's called that. And that cover, that's me on that bridge, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Dave Gann and Warren both took the picture, and the graphic artist combined the two to make one picture. And that bridge is one of the relatives of Eiffel. If you turn it sideways, it almost looks like the Eiffel Tower.
True.
Every day that bridge is covered in tourists, except that day was raining, and even the guys in the band took Ubers. And I said, "No, I'm walking. I walk every day to the studio." So they took a picture of me,
beautiful,
walking in the rain.
Yeah, it's a great cover art. Sure.
Yeah, and that's a view from the place that we had, which was a 7-bedroom, 7-bathroom on the riverbank, looking at the bridge and the river. And, so it was Alan Moore, our manager, who I referred to earlier, right, who was at that first gig at the strip club. And the 4 guys of the band and my brother, who plays keyboards and sax, piano. And then Warren, and we all lived together for 3 weeks.
Oh.
It was so much fun. And it's just like the old school days, right? And
Yeah.
you can call home, but it's 9 hours difference. So there's it's not really, you can't carry all that stuff. Not that it's bad, but you want your focus in the music. And that's
Right.
definitely what was happening.
That's really cool. And you say that too, and I had the privilege of listening to the whole thing so far, and you get that sense of joy a bit, and the connection between you guys just seems tighter than it's ever felt.
Yeah.
But at the same time, still loose and free a bit. One of the songs, like the song Whale. I mean, I just think that is, I can't get enough of that song.
Good. Yeah, that for a while, that was my favorite too.
Oh, I just think it's just so powerful. And I love how it just kind of inches up and inches up, and it just gets you as a listener. Anyway, I just love the whole record. Neil, I guess I'll close out with this: is what happens from here on? It's getting launched next week. What's in store for 5440 for the first part of this 2026 that you can share?
Well, not much, to be quite honest. Just the record's coming out, and we're trying to get people to listen to it and maybe talk about it like you. So thank you for that. We had a very busy 2025. We did more shows. We did over 55 shows, something like that.
Wow.
So, which is more than we've done since the 90s. But what that does is leave a bit of a vacuum. And also, we're going to take some time off. I'm going to take my wife to Mexico in 2 days for 3 weeks.
Awesome.
Hang out with some friends, and then I'm going to Europe in April.
Okay.
Again, I think the gigs will start up again in May or June, and then it's going to get really busy, and we'll be doing at least 3 songs, maybe 2, but hopefully 3, songs from the record. The other thing I'd like to say is that before we went into the studio, we did take all these songs live at least twice.
Right. Okay.
So we kind of had that
Got to
taste.
hammer out things a bit.
Yeah. Well, it's just, there's the old saying that we used to have that one gig is worth 20 rehearsals, right? So when you're in front of 500 or 2,000 people or whatever it is, and you're playing a new song, it tells you something about what the song does,
right?
More than you can learn by recording it or rehearsing it. Sure. It's something interesting. I don't know what that is. Other people probably can define it better than me, but it's something. So,
do you watch the crowd when, like, say when you're like trying a new song for the first time on stage? Are you more focused on the band, or do you gander out to see the reaction of the fans? And
well, it's very immediate and very quick, and we would get the response. Generally, it would be like people actually listen. You can tell there was sort of a response like, "Yeah, thanks," or whatever. It's funny, you talk about your reaction to Virgil. I mean, I did a little solo show actually with my brother out. When I just sort of written the song. And I decided to just play it, see where it was. Just me and acoustic, and my brother, supporting me on a saxophone. And it was only about 100 people in a little cafe. It's just something to gig, showed up at a gig to do it. And some guy goes, "There's my 5440." And I just went, "Wow, okay." Was that you, by the way?
I've sadly never been to Vancouver, which I have on my list to do for sure. First, it was interview 5440. And next one's to visit Vancouver. But yeah, I'd love to. I'll make my way out there eventually. But that sounds really amazing. Really amazing. Well, Neil, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
I've kind of spilled a little bit over our time, but I just, you're totally worth it. And I want to just keep talking with you, but I'll respect your time and day. And great record. I wish you all the best too, and some much needed rest and relaxation, and just kind of déclencher, as we say here in Quebec, from the world a little bit and all that it has to offer and all this beauty. If you want to get a listening of Porto, there's a Bandcamp listening party on January 20th at 8:30 Eastern Standard. So check it out. It will be a great listen, and you'll understand all the rave that I have about this record, because it is something really outstanding. Great work, Neil, to you and the band. And again, all the best. And, I'm a fan forever. And thanks for putting this out in the world so that we get to feel 5440 in our hearts again. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great.
I couldn't live without you, babe. I couldn't be, never seen. And I don't live without you now. Still somehow I look at my phone. You told me you'd call me. You told me you'd see me. Now everything everywhere is up in the air. You told me you'd warn me. You told me you'd hold me. Hold me now. I'm all alone. Have left it too late to make it better some way. I wanna run away in a hole and start to wail. And now I think I won't get carried at all. Too late to lay it all before God. I wanna run away in a hole and start to wail. Never told me you wouldn't see me. Now everything everywhere is up in the air. You told me you'd warn me. You told me you know me now. I'm all